in Tacloban. The Astrodome Arena was one of the few buildings big enough to withstand Typhoon Haiyan, and it's now a shelter for hundreds of families who've lost everything. Thousands of people are camped out here in filthy conditions. 7 families are living in this one tent. And finally, there's a team of doctors, one of the first signs of help beginning to arrive. A stair landing is now home for the Anthony family. Lee managed to get his wife, Jessica, and his 7 children here just hours before the typhoon hit. They have 1-month-old twin boys. Lee tells me they have enough baby formula to last just 4 more days. He says only God is giving him the strength to carry on, and that he's lucky his family is still alive. Thousands of people were seeking shelter here at the Astrodome when the typhoon struck. This was one of the main evacuation centres, but such was the size of the storm surge coming in from the ocean that the water came right up to this balcony. People can see aid is now being flown in greater amounts, but little has arrived here yet.
Experts are calling it the strongest storm on Earth this year. Imagine experiencing winds of 100 miles an hour. Then double it. The island nation of the Philippines has been battered overnight, forcing millions from their homes, seeking shelter anywhere they can. This amateur video gives some idea of the power behind the storm. There are reports of landslides, flooding, fallen trees and widespread damage. Power and phone lines are down, leaving communications with the islands most affected almost impossible. And it's not really surprising, looking at these images released by the US Navy's Typhoon Warning Center, that meteorologists and weather forecasters were able to predict so accurately just how big the storm would be. And imagine how terrifying a warning for the thousands of people in its path. In preparation, many took the opportunity to secure their homes and their possessions. This is a country well used to stormy weather. An average of 20 typhoons hit the Philippines every year. The following report contains some disturbing images.
People here are grieving, homeless and hungry.
Now we're so very hungry and thirsty. That's why we're here, because even it's so, if you have water or food there, maybe you can give us.
Next to the runway, a makeshift hospital. Some patients being treated without anaesthetics to numb the pain. This woman has just given birth. A baby girl named Bea Joy, born into a world upturned. And alongside them, another young woman is also in labour. People waiting here are desperate to get out on any plane they can find.
This is my dad's only chance for life. I said either we have to leave tomorrow morning, today, or we're going to go somewhere else. But he needs dialysis, and he's been off now for 2 days. He's in critical condition. And so if the world's out there, send help, because these people need it.
Outside the city's airport, hundreds have been waiting, desperate for any aid they can get. They need shelter, and in many cases, they've been separated from their families too.
We need food. Mom, please help me. Mom, I am still here in Tacloban, and I am still alive.
Today, there was some hope at last with the arrival of the American military, a Marine Expeditionary Force, helping to organise the response.
It's a whole government approach. The embassy's asked for not just military, but USAID is here, international relief organizations are here. Obviously, the military has logistics capabilities that are unique.
The streets are busy as people search for their loved ones still missing. This is the main street through the centre of Tacloban, and the destruction is almost complete. Barely a building standing, and there's the stench of death in the air. We've seen scores of bodies just in the few kilometres we've driven in from the airport, and behind us a couple of bodies bundled up in tarpaulin. In the city, the country's interior minister is hands-on, directing traffic. But the devastation is overwhelming, and so far there's little sign the government is managing to get aid out to the many in need. So people are doing whatever they can to help themselves. This used to be a supermarket. Those who have nothing are looking for anything they can find. But unless more relief comes quickly, the little food there is will run out soon. John Donison, BBC News, Tacloban.
On the 8th of November, Typhoon Haiyan tore through the Philippines. It was one of the most powerful storms ever recorded on land. Seawater engulfed towns along the coast, leaving a scene of total devastation. But the cost in human terms is the most shocking. Many thousands have died, and up to 10 million have been affected by this catastrophic storm. These people desperately need your help. That's why the Disasters Emergency Committee, or DEC, an umbrella organisation that unites 14 UK humanitarian aid agencies, has launched an emergency appeal. And to help the vast numbers of people affected, they need your donation. In the city of Tacloban, the destruction is on the scale of a tsunami.
Now we're so very hungry and thirsty. We don't have water anymore. We don't have food.
Survivors are sleeping outside amid the wreckage. And with so many dead in the rubble, there is the increasing threat of the spread of infection, with young children and elderly people most at risk. This is a dreadful situation. And the Philippines is a nation of scattered islands with communities who are hard to reach. A huge effort is required to get aid to the people who need it. The priorities are clean water, food and shelter. £25 will buy water purification tablets for 10 families for a month. £50 will feed a family for 2 weeks. £100 will provide a family with an emergency shelter and bedding. This is a humanitarian crisis, so the DEC needs us to act now. Please help. You can give online at dec.org.uk, or you can call 0370 60 60 900. To donate £5, text HELP to 70000. Text cost £5, and the whole £5 goes to the DEC Philippines Typhoon appeal. You must be 16 or over, and please ask the bill payer's permission. For full information, go to dec.org.uk. Thank you.
We need your help. We don't have water anymore. We don't have food. But we survived. And I'm glad that we're still here. So just stay strong and we'll be okay.
With the overwhelming destitution and devastation that marks so many Philippine communities, the urge to help, to send help, to be of help is echoed by individuals, governments, and aid organizations around the globe. But from tsunamis to earthquakes to typhoons and hurricanes and war, past experience with major disasters and crises shows that new obstacles are often created with well-meaning efforts. This morning, with the clock ticking on the lives of so many, we are asking how those providing relief can get it right.
The dead have been buried, the missing not found, the living are in shock. For them, life goes on, because without help, it has had to. The painted plea, more in hope than expectation. When the Navy and aid workers got here, the island gave them a list. Top of it all, more important to them than anything else, to rebuild the school. They did. Tomorrow the children will gather in the classroom for the first time since the night Haiyan terrified their young minds. Their parents, though, will bring them here not for lessons, but for counselling. The road around the island is passable. Just. In one village, we spotted a fishing boat that stood out from the rest. We looked for Steve and found his sister-in-law. She told us he was away on a neighbouring island, so we phoned him to check that he was okay.
But I just wanted to call in and see whether all things were okay, and we were amazed to see your boat up on the beach.
The coast took the brunt, no more so than the village of Dukduk, the first on the island in the storm's path. The few trees that are left standing now bow in defeat.
However much time you spend here looking at what the typhoon has done, and we have spent time driving around the island, it is impossible to imagine what it must have been like when it struck on that night. And yet, having survived the typhoon, the villagers in Dukduk and on the island have seen no help for the last 10 days. No one until now has come here. No one.
And for all this, we found astonishing resilience, not a hint of self-pity. They thought no help would ever come for them. It did, and just in time.
We just pray and to move on. We just pray.
There are hundreds, if not thousands,